In the last video, we have seen about the common base and common gate amplifier analysis. In this video, we are going to see about the cascade amplifier analysis at high frequencies. The cascade amplifier is a combination of CE and CB amplifiers. Okay, so we have discussed the CE amplifier analysis at high frequencies and the CB amplifier analysis at high frequency in the last video. Okay, in this video, the both configurations of CB and CE are combined, so which forms the cascade amplifier. We can say that the cascade amplifier is a multi-stage amplifier. In the stage 1, which was designed using the CE amplifier section. Okay, here the CE amplifier section, which is the stage 1, and the CB amplifier is a stage 2. Okay, so actually the CB amplifier will provide you the more bandwidth and the more voltage gain too when compared with the CE configuration. But the problem with the CB configuration is low input impedance. That is the problem of the CB configuration that can be avoided by using the CE configuration before the CB. Okay, if you use the CE amplifier before the CB amplifier, then the low input impedance problem of the CB will get eliminated, and also the CE has moderate input and output impedances. Okay, therefore there is no impedance mismatching too. The cascade amplifier is the combination of CE and CB configurations. Here the input is applied to the CE amplifier, so which is the Q1 transistor amplifier, and the output of the CE is fed to the CB amplifier, which is Q2. Okay, here this is a CE configuration and this one is a CB configuration. So here the input terminal for the CE is a base terminal, therefore VI was applied to the base terminal, and the emitter is common terminal for both input and output side circuit, and collector will be the output terminal for the stage 1, which is the CE configuration. And the output of the stage 1 is given as a input for the second stage. Okay, here emitter is the input terminal for the common base configuration, therefore the output of the stage 1 is given to the input of the stage 2. From the collector of the stage 1, the output will be transferred to the emitter of the stage 2. Okay, that is the input for the CB configuration, and in the CB configuration the base has been grounded through the CB bypass capacitor, and output terminal is the collector terminal. And here the CC1 and CC2 are input and output coupling capacitor, RL and CL are the load resistance and load capacitance, and CE is the emitter bypass capacitor for the CE configuration, and CB is the base bypass capacitor for the CB configuration. The input impedance to the CE circuit, which is Q1, are relatively large, and the load resistance seen by the Q1 is the input impedance of the Q2 and fairly small. Okay, when we use this configuration, we can say that the input impedance of the CE is relatively large. Okay, and the output impedance of the CE configuration is the input impedance of the CB configuration. Okay, here the Zi2, the input impedance of the second stage, will be the input for the stage 1. Okay, as we know that the CB configuration has low input impedance, therefore the load for the CE configuration is very small. Okay, therefore the low output resistance of CE reduces the Miller multiplication factor on CMU1, and therefore which extends the bandwidth of the circuit. Okay, in this one we can understand that the low output impedance of the CE configuration will reduce the Miller multiplication effect. Okay, when the Miller multiplication effect is less, then the bandwidth of the circuit will be increased. Therefore, to draw the small signal equivalent circuit, we are going to assuming the coupling and bypass capacitors are short circuited and the resistance R02, which is the internal output resistance of the transistor, to be infinite. Okay, for the CB configuration, R02 is assumed to be infinite. Okay, the high frequency equivalent circuit can be given like this. Up to here, this is the first stage, which is the CE configuration high frequency equivalent circuit, and this one is the second stage, which is the CB configuration high frequency equivalent circuit. And for the CE configuration CMU1, will be the feedback capacitor, C pi 1 is the input capacitor, R pi 1, okay, R pi 1 is the input resistance, and GM1 V pi 1 is the output current, and R naught 1 is the output resistance, okay, and RB1, which is a parallel combination of R2 and R3, that is the biasing circuit resistance, okay. For the R2 and R3 are in parallel combination, right? Therefore the parallel combination of R2 and R3 are the biasing resistor. And for the small signal equivalent circuit, we are going to assume the all DC sources are to be grounded and all bypass capacitors are short circuited. The CB and CE are short circuited. The capacitors, the coupling capacitors CC1 and CC2 are assumed to be short circuited, okay. Now we can draw the second stage, which is the CB configuration or CB amplifier high frequency equivalent circuit. So the equivalent circuit for the transistor will be given as R pi 2, C pi 2, C mu 2, GM2 V pi 2, okay, and we assume the R naught 2 as open circuited. And at the output side we have RL resistor and CL parallel combination. So, okay, RL and CL has been shown here, and RC is also in parallel with these resistances and capacitances, okay. So here RC also started from this collector terminal of the CB configuration to the ground, okay, which was mentioned here. Okay, here ZIE2, which is the input impedance of the second stage, ZIE2, that we can derive from the CB analysis. Okay, in the last video we have already derived the input impedance of the CB configuration, where the input impedance is getting reduced by 1 plus beta times. That equations we will directly use in the cascode analysis. The input impedance to the emitter of Q2, which is can be given from the CB analysis, that is equal to ZIE2 equal to R pi 2 divided by 1 plus beta is in parallel with 1 by SC pi 2. Okay, here only the value of R pi 2 will be divided by 1 plus beta, that is nothing but the ZI2. Now we are going to rearrange this high frequency equivalent circuit of the cascode amplifier like this. And also we have taken the input side circuit alone, which means that the stage 1, and also shown the second stage input impedance and input capacitance as load for the first stage here. Okay, the input portion of the circuit is shown in the figure, which can be transformed to the circuit with a Miller capacitance, and this rearranged circuit can be further rearranged with Miller capacitance as like this. If you see, the C mu 1 capacitance, which is in the feedback path, can be divided for the input side as well as output side, like CM1 at the input side, which is a Miller capacitance, and C mu 1 at the output side. So this is a variation of high frequency circuit including the Miller capacitance. The Miller capacitance CM1 is included in the input side, and the capacitance C mu 1 is included in the output portion of the Q1 model, which is the CE model. In the center of this equivalent circuit, R01 is in parallel with R pi 2 divided by 1 plus beta. Okay, here if you see R01, which is in parallel with R pi 2 divided by 1 plus beta. If you see, the value of R01 is very large when compared with the R pi 2 divided by 1 plus beta, because the input impedance of our CB is very small. When compared with the CB input impedance, the output resistance R01 is a large value. Therefore, we can neglect the R01 from this equivalent circuit. Since R01 is usually large, it can be approximated as open circuit like this. Therefore, the Miller capacitance can be given as CM1 is equal to C mu 1 into 1 plus GM1 into R pi 2 divided by 1 plus beta. Here we know that the Miller capacitance value, which is equal to C mu 1 into 1 plus voltage gain. Therefore, here 1 plus the gain can be given as GM1 into load resistance. Here load is nothing but R pi 2 divided by 1 plus beta when we eliminate this R01 from this circuit. Okay, therefore this is the value of the Miller capacitance 1 at the input side portion of the cascode amplifier. We know that the transistors Q1 and Q2 are biased with essentially same current, Therefore, the R pi 1, the input resistance R pi 1, which will be equal to the R pi 2, and the transconductance GM1 of that transistor 1 will be equal to the GM2. Then we can say that GM1 into R pi 2 will be equal to beta. Therefore, the CM1 will be approximately equal to 2 mu 1. Okay, in this circuit, this multiplication GM1 into R pi 2 will be replaced as beta. Okay, therefore, the beta divided by 1 plus beta, when compared with 1, the beta value is large. Therefore, beta will get cancelled, and this entire term will be equal to 1 plus 1, which is equal to 2. Okay, therefore the CM1 will be equal to 2 into C mu 1. That is the small value when compared with the multiplication factors. Above equation shows that the cascode circuit is greatly reduces the Miller multiplication factor. Okay, here the multiplication factor is only 2. Actually, it should get multiplied with the voltage gain, which is a large value, but in the cascode analysis, multiplication factor has been reduced a lot. Therefore, the CM1 will be approximately equal to 2 into C mu 1. The time constant related to the C pi 2 involves the resistance R pi 2 divided by 1 plus beta. Since the resistance is small, the time constant related to the C pi 2, which involves the resistance R pi 2 divided by 1 plus beta, and we know that the resistance R pi 2 divided by 1 plus beta is a very small value. Therefore, the time constant is a small value, and the corner frequency will becomes very large as the time constant is less value. And we know that f is inversely proportional to the time constant tau. Therefore, if the time constant is less, then we can get the more frequency, which means that the corner frequency or upper corner frequency will be increased a lot. Here we can neglect the effect of the C mu 1 and C pi 2. Okay, the C mu 1 and C pi 2 in the center portion of the circuit, that time constant for the input side portion can be given as tau p pi. Okay, that is the time constant due to the C pi capacitance, that will be equal to. So here, while calculating the time constant, we will short circuit the input side. Therefore, Rs will be in parallel with these resistances. Okay, so here Rs in parallel with Rb1 in parallel with R pi 1, that is getting multiplied with C pi 1 and Cm1, and here the Cm1 is nothing but 2 into C mu 1, and the corresponding 3 dB frequency Fh due to the C pi capacitance, that will be equal to 1 by 2 pi tau ph. Okay, so we are assuming the load capacitor CL, which is a open circuit at the output side. Okay, in the output side circuit, I am assuming the CL is open circuited. Therefore, for the output side circuit, the time constant will be equal to RC parallel RU into C mu 2. Here I am assuming the CL is open circuited. Therefore, the time constant due to output side portion can be given as tau p mu. Okay, that is due to the C mu 2 capacitance at the output side, and we can observe that C mu 2 is grounded. Okay, so here the one of the terminal of the C mu 2 is given to the ground, which means that the C mu 2 is in parallel with the output side circuit. Therefore, the time constant related to the output side, which is the tau p mu, will be equal to RC parallel RL into C mu 2, and the corresponding with 3 dB corner frequency, which will be equal to the Fh mu, which is equal to 1 by 2 pi tau p mu. Okay, the two higher corner frequencies, one is due to the C pi capacitance at the input side, another one is the C mu 2 capacitance at the output side. Now we are going to determine the midband voltage gain of the circuit by assuming all capacitance in the circuits are open circuited, and the output voltage can be given as, which is the voltage at the second stage, which is the CBA configuration, that will be equal to the minus GM2 V pi 2 into RC parallel RL. Here I am assuming the CL is open circuited. Therefore, the output voltage is a parallel combination of RC and RL. Okay, and which is getting multiplied with the current GM2 V pi 2. Here the GM2 V pi 2 is in opposite direction, therefore which can be taken as minus GM2 V pi 2, and the resistance is RC parallel RL, that is the output voltage. And the input voltage V pi 2 can be given as, here the V pi 2 which is the input voltage, that can be given as GM1 V pi 1 into R01 in parallel with R pi 2 divided by 1 plus beta. From the stage 1 output side circuit, we can give the V pi 2 value. V pi 2 is the voltage across the parallel combination of R01 resistance and R pi 2 divided by 1 plus beta resistance. Applied current is here GM1 V pi 1. Okay, GM1 V pi 1 into R01 in parallel with R pi 2 divided by 1 plus beta. Okay, that is the value of V pi 2, and neglect the effect of R01 compared with the R pi 2 by 1 plus beta. Also the GM1 into R pi 2 is nothing but the beta. We know that GM into R pi is beta, and we are assuming the GM1 is equal to GM2 is equal to GM, and R pi 1 and R pi 2 is equal to R pi. Okay, then the above equation can be written as V pi 2 is equal to V pi 1. Okay, here we are neglecting the R01 resistance. Okay, and GM1 into R pi 2 can be given as beta divided by 1 plus beta. We have the 1 is very small, so that we can neglect, so beta by beta will get cancelled, so that we will have only V pi 2 at the left hand side and V pi 1 at the right hand side. And from the input side portion of the circuit, we can write the V pi 1, which is the input voltage V pi 1, which is equal to applied voltage Vi into across the resistance. Here the two resistances are in parallel combination, RB1 parallel R pi 1 divided by the total resistance Rs plus RB1 parallel with R pi 1. Okay, that will be the V pi 1 input voltage of the stage 1. Therefore, we can write the Vi is equal to RB1 parallel with R pi 1 plus Rs divided by RB1 in parallel with R pi 1 into V pi 1. And the midband voltage gain, which is the ratio of output voltage to the input voltage, AVM is equal to V0 divided by Vi, that will be equal to minus GM2 V pi 2 RC parallel RL divided by this total Vi equation, which is RB1 parallel with R pi 1 plus Rs divided by RB1 parallel with R pi 1 into V pi 1. Okay, so the V pi 1 is nothing but V pi 2 here, so V pi 1 and V pi 2 will get cancelled. Okay, so in our equation we have minus GM2 into RC parallel RL in the numerator, and in the denominator we will have RB1 parallel with R pi 1 plus Rs, and this RB1 parallel with R pi 1 will go to the numerator, and the ratio will becomes like this. Okay, the midband voltage gain AVM, which will be equal to minus GM2 RC parallel RL into RB1 parallel R pi 1 divided by RB1 parallel R pi 1 plus Rs. That is the midband voltage gain of the cascade amplifier circuit. The expression for the midband voltage gain of the cascade circuit is identical to that of common emitter circuit. Okay, so the expression for this voltage gain is identical to the common emitter circuit, and the cascade circuit achieves a relatively large voltage gain while extending the bandwidth. Okay, the bandwidth is extended, and the gain, the voltage gain, will be equal to the CE amplifier voltage gain. Okay, that is the advantage of the cascade circuit. Okay, the bandwidth is getting increased and the voltage gain is remaining same. So here the midband voltage gain is looking like the expression of the CE amplifier circuit, and similarly the cascade circuit achieves a relatively large bandwidth. When we go for the cascade amplifier, the low input impedance of the CB amplifier is getting eliminated. Along with, we have one more advantage, that is the bandwidth getting increased. In the next video, we are going to see about the emitter and source follower circuits.